So unfortunately, today's video is going to be a little bit of a bummer. As we get older, more and more people around us start to leave this planet, whether it be people that we know or celebrities that we look up to. And I know for me, it feels like just in the last 10 years or so, it feels like almost every celebrity that I grew up listening to and watching and looking up to has left the planet. It's definitely not every celebrity, but it really feels that way. So many have left us, and some hurt a little bit more than others. Of course, I've talked about this. Prince was the worst for me. I was completely devastated by that. And I mean, that's one that I'll never get over. And this year we lost another celebrity that for me, this is the first celebrity to hurt this much since Prince passed away. On July 30th, 2023, Paul Reubens, also known as Pee Wee Herman, passed away. It turns out that he had been struggling with cancer for the last 6 years. Secretly, he kept that hidden from the public. So it's actually already been a few weeks since Paul Reubens passed away, and I feel like I should have already made this video. But to be honest with you, this isn't something that I was really looking forward to doing, so I wasn't really in a hurry to make this video. And also, right now, everybody is doing Paul Reubens and Pee Wee Herman videos, so I wasn't really looking to jump on that bandwagon either. But, you know, ultimately, I had to make this video because Paul Reubens was such a huge part of my life, and also, he was such a gigantic part of the 80s. And I mean, this is the 80s Life channel. How am I going to not talk about Pee Wee Herman on 80s Life? So today we're going to drive around to a few locations that are related to Paul Reubens. We're going to talk about him. We're also going to look at some clips from some of my favorite Pee Wee Herman and Paul Reubens moments. Now, I want to say that this is going to be a good time, and it will, but it's also going to sting a bit because we're paying tribute and saying see you later to one of our heroes. So it's also going to be a bit heartbreaking. Now, I've got a lot of ground that I want to cover today, so let's go see what we can find. Today we're going to bring Pee Wee and Cherry along for the ride. Got to get him buckled in so that he's nice and safe. We don't want him flying around the car. All right, Pee Wee, you ready?
I know you are, but what am I?
Okay, so I just arrived here on Hollywood Boulevard, and you probably already know why we're here, but actually there's a few Paul Reubens related things right here on Hollywood Boulevard, but we are going to start at Pee Wee Herman Star, and if I remember correctly, it's back that way about a block or two. All right, so it has been a while since I've been down here to Pee Wee Star, but like I said, if I remember correctly, it's right down here on, I believe, the next block. And as you probably know, whenever a celebrity passes away, everybody comes down here to their star and they put flowers. They usually put a wreath. People leave, you know, notes and cards. However, it's already been a few weeks since Pee Wee Paul Reubens has passed. So I don't know if there's going to be anything on his star. Probably not. And there it is. Like I said, it's been a few weeks, so there's no longer anything on the star, no flowers or anything. But one really cool thing that is here, no matter when you come, I think this is always here, is the store right in front of it. They got a Pee Wee doll hanging out in the window. And of course, there's some pictures that you can find online that you can match up from when Pee Wee Herman received his star back in 1988, and he was laying on the ground right here next to the star. And if you have not been to this star and you want to come visit it, it's right next to Hollywood Toys and Costumes. You can see right there. These are the stores that it's right in front of. The Hollywood Partnership, which I'm not sure what that is. That they are the ones that have the Pee Wee doll. Now, one memory I have with this star is back in like the 90s and the 2000s, my friends and I used to skateboard all up and down Hollywood Boulevard. We'd start on one end all the way down there and skate all the way to the other end and back. And one night we were coming back down Hollywood Boulevard really late at night. And when we got to this area, we noticed a guy laying on the ground. And me being kind of young and nosy, I stopped and I said to the guy, you know, what are you doing? And I noticed at that point that he had a toothbrush in his hand and he was scrubbing this star. And that's when I noticed that it was Pee Wee Herman's star. And he responded to me, he was kind of angry, not angry at me, but just angry. And he said, I'm scrubbing Pee Wee Herman's star. Nobody comes out here and cleans it, and someone's got to do it. So I'm out here, I'm cleaning the star. And I think if it was anyone else's star, I probably would have just like laughed and thought the guy was a little wacky and skated off. But since it was Pee Wee Herman's star, I remember like feeling happy that he was doing that. And I think I thanked the guy and, you know, told him good job, and then I skated off. And yeah, I wonder what happened to that guy. I wonder how many times he came out here and scrubbed the star, or if it was just a one-time thing. You know, it doesn't look too bad right now. You know, it's been here since 1988, so it's a little dirty. It's got a few cracks in it. Considering how long it's been here and how many people have walked on it, not too bad. All right, on to the next spot. So back in 1984, they had the red carpet premiere of Purple Rain right here at the Chinese Theater. And, you know, they had all of the celebrities pulling up in front of the theater. And one of those celebrities was Pee Wee Herman. He pulled up in a tiny little hot rod and just completely stole the show. There's lots of footage that you can find of it, pictures and video footage. And I know for me, every time that I watched that footage, besides Prince, Pee Wee Herman was my favorite thing about it. Little Richard was pretty awesome too.
He's me in this generation, you know. He's me for looks, you know that though. Michael Jackson is me, the Beatles was me, all of them are me, you know that.
I talked about this a little bit in my live stream. In 2010, I was more than lucky enough to attend a Q&A with Paul Reubens, and he talked about this event, saying that attending the premiere of Purple Rain was one of the highlights of his career because he was such a huge Prince fan.
I'm really a big fan of Prince's too. I have all his records and everything.
So if you don't know, back in 1984, this entire block looked a lot different. There was no Hollywood and Highland Mall here. This was a parking lot, and then down there at the end, there was a parking structure. And he said that they were hiding him out in that parking structure, sitting in his little tiny car. There was a guy with him with a walkie-talkie, and they were just waiting to get the call on the walkie-talkie, you know, saying, okay, send over Pee Wee Herman. And then once they got the call, all right, go, go, go. And he came out of the parking structure and drove along Hollywood Boulevard and then pulled up right there in front of the theater. So yep, it was right there where Pee Wee Herman pulled up in his tiny little car, along with Prince and Little Richard and a ton of other amazing celebrities. Man, the 80s were an amazing time. Now recently, Apollonia, the co-star of Purple Rain, posted a tribute to Paul Reubens on social media, and she talked about the premiere of Purple Rain. She said that Pee Wee Herman was her official date for the premiere of Purple Rain, and that it was set up by Prince, that he had been teasing her for weeks, saying, I have a really big surprise for you, and that ended up being the surprise. And she said that ever since that day, her and Paul Reubens remained really good friends, and that she saved every birthday and Christmas card that he sent her every year after that. Now, according to her, the reason why Prince did this is both her and Prince loved Pee Wee Herman. This is the really cool part. She claims that Prince did a really good Pee Wee Herman impression and would often do Pee Wee Herman quotes in the voice. And she also claims that on many occasions, her and Prince did the Pee Wee Herman dance while listening to Tequila. And all I know is that every part of me just hopes that every part of that story is true. Right here where this large shopping center now is, on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Sycamore Avenue, used to be the Garden Court Apartments. And by the 1980s, it was really run down. It became a place for homeless and drugs. And then in 1984, it was demolished. But before that, Cheech and Chong made a movie called Cheech and Chong's Next Movie. And there was a part in that movie where Chong had to go pick up Cheech's cousin, Red, who of course was actually played by Cheech. and he comes to the Garden Court Apartments to, that's the hotel where Red is staying. And he goes inside of the apartments and he talks to the clerk, who is very snotty and doesn't want to give Red his luggage because he says that he owes them money. And there's a really funny back and forth between the clerk and Chong, and that clerk, of course, was played by Paul Reubens. And so that took place right here at the Garden Court Apartments. And once they end up breaking in and getting all of Red's things, and then the clerk calls the police, and there's a whole thing right out here in front of the apartments where the building is surrounded by police, and Paul Reubens ends up running out. So right here in front, Paul Reubens would have come running down the stairs, and he's yelling at the police saying, that's them, you gotta get them. And they end up arresting Paul Reubens instead. And he's actually in the movie again, but this time as Pee Wee Herman. They go to a comedy club, and he comes out and does his act. And he's also in another Cheech and Chong movie, Nice Dreams. Now I can say for sure that some clips from Nice Dreams and next movie are gonna make it into my favorite Paul Reubens moments. So with that being said, while I drive over to the next spot, let's take a look at some of my favorite Paul Reubens and Pee Wee Herman moments.
Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call at the front desk.
Come on, please, there's two crazies in here tearing up the place. I already told you where we're located.
Oh, Captain Carroll! Oh, Mr. Vaughn! Oh!
Shake hands with a good friend of mine, Colonel Hershey.
I love you.
Blasting better heads on boils!
All I wanted was a measly sandwich!
I very nicely
Explain that I was starving. I'm starving! Look, I'm a nun. Hello.
Enchanté, Georges. Herbie, he is yummy. He looks just like a Ken doll.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer. Bye, Susan.
Ooh, ah, ow, ooh, ah, ah, ah.
Bruce Springsteen. No way.
No way.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I can do for you, Pee Wee?
Well, I would like a pickle if it's not too much trouble.
So in the early 80s, Paul Reubens was developing the Pee Wee Herman character, and he started doing a midnight show at the Groundlings Theater called the Pee Wee Herman Show. And it ended up being a huge success, and they had to move the show right over here to the Roxy Theater on Sunset Boulevard. Now, one of those nights that they were doing the show here at the Roxy, HBO came down and filmed it, and it became an HBO comedy special, which you can now find on DVD. It's become quite a cult classic, and I couldn't even begin to tell you how many times I've watched that special. I remember when I was a bit older, probably about 19, I came home really late one night, and there was a VHS tape sitting on the table that said the Pee Wee Herman Show on it. And the next day, my dad was like, "Did you get the tape that I left for you? They were showing this Pee Wee Herman special on cable, and so I recorded it for you because I know how much you love Pee Wee Herman." And I'm pretty sure I still have that VHS tape. Now, once I got the DVD, I watched it all the time. I watched it a bunch with my son when he was little, and when he was really small, like around 3 or 4, when he would wake up in the morning, I would always sing the Good Morning song to him.
Well, good morning. How do you do? Lots of surprises are just waiting for you.
Now, there's one part in that special where Pee Wee brings an audience member onto the stage named Joan.
Joan! Joan, listen to me, Joan!
In more recent years, I've actually seen her on a couple of different episodes of Full House, and I was like, hey, it's Joan. So he brings her up on stage and he does this whole bit with her. And if you watch till after the end credits, it shows her walking through the Roxy and she comes out the front door. And when she does, you can see these lights up here. And the camera then follows her as she's walking down the sidewalk right here. And it's really hard to see because it's really dark. But then the camera turns and it shows her walking down the sidewalk. Again, you can't really make out too much because it's a pretty dark scene. But I don't know, for me, it's really crazy to think that it was right here inside of this building where they did the Pee Wee Herman show. And especially to think back to, you know, the 90s, all the times that I played here at the Roxy and when I used to work inside of this ticket booth. You know, I used to sell tickets inside this ticket booth. I did some other stuff here at the Roxy as well. And I don't know. Back then, I wasn't really thinking about it. All those times that I played here, it never really crossed my mind that I was playing in the same place where they did the Pee Wee Herman show, right through these doors. Pretty amazing. Now in 2010, he did a new version of the Pee Wee Herman show, which he did in downtown Los Angeles at Club Nokia, and I was lucky enough to get to attend. And I was even more lucky to get to go to a Q&A with Paul Reubens after the show. He also did the show on Broadway. Again, HBO came down and filmed it one night. It was a HBO special again, and you can also find that on DVD. So you can get the original and the updated version. Now, I enjoy both the original and the updated version, but I will be honest and say that the original is like 1,000 times funnier. But when it came to attending it live, I wasn't even thinking about that. I mean, it was just so amazing to be seeing that live in person, to see the Playhouse set on stage, to see Pee Wee Herman live on stage right in front of me. And I had really good seats. I want to say I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 rows back. And it was just amazing. Like, there was never a moment where I was thinking like, you know, oh, this isn't as good as the original or anything like that. Like, I was just in complete awe. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing in front of me. Definitely a night that I'll never forget. I'm glad that I have the DVD to kind of help me remember. Now, really quick, I wanted to elaborate on that Q&A that I had mentioned. And if you watched my recent live stream where I talked about Paul Reubens, you might have already heard these next couple of stories, but in my opinion, I thought they were worth retelling for those of you that didn't get to hear them the first time. So after the show, which took place right here in this building, this used to be Club Nokia, Paul Reubens came back out, still in the Pee Wee suit, but no longer in character, and he proceeded to do what I remember being somewhere around an hour-long Q&A, and that's because he gave really elaborate and detailed answers to everybody's question. Now, the main question that I wanted to ask was, are you a Prince fan? And I know that doesn't sound like a great question, but being such a huge Prince fan, I get enjoyment out of finding out that other celebrities that I like are also Prince fans. I don't know why, it's just something that I really get a kick out of, and I would have loved to find out that Paul Reubens was a Prince fan. But I also had another question I wanted to ask. So anyways, sure enough, I get picked to ask a question. He calls me up to the front. I walk up there, and next thing I know, Pee Wee Herman has a microphone shoved in my face as if I'm on his talk show. I turn and look at the audience, and there's an entire theater looking back at me. Plus, my friend is right there trying to take a picture. So I look at her and she's like motioning, trying to get me to look at the camera. And the entire thing was just completely nerve-wracking. So as I'm asking the question, Paul Reubens notices that my friend is trying to take a picture, and they had told us beforehand that there were no photos allowed. So I'm like ready to freak out, but he notices she's trying to take a picture and he kind of turns towards the camera, which I thought was extremely nice. But anyways, I was really nervous and I ended up asking the other question. And so what I asked him was, I said, on an episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse, Cowboy Curtis comes over, you guys put on wigs, and you teach him how to pogo. So should we assume that Pee-wee was a punk? Now, the entire time that I was asking him this question, he was staring at me really confused, and once I was done, he turned to the audience and he said, I have no idea what he's talking about. I don't even remember that. And everybody laughed, and I got even more embarrassed. Obviously, he wasn't trying to be mean. So I went and sat down, and he proceeded to give about a 10-minute answer to my question. And he explained that at that point in his life, he was friends with the Germs, the Go-Go's, X, all of these LA punk bands, those were his friends. That's who he hung out with. But he said that he never really had time to go to shows and like be part of the scene because he was so busy working on his career and basically trying to make it. So in his own words, he said he never had time to be a punk. So now I'm sitting there just in complete disbelief that I just spoke to Paul Reubens and got to ask him a question, but I'm still a little bit bummed because I want to know if he's a Prince fan. So then someone asks him, what was the best moment of your entire career? Of course, Paul Reubens responds that it's impossible to answer that question because there were so many amazing moments. But then he said that one of his favorite moments of his entire career was getting to go to the premiere of Purple Rain because he's such a huge Prince fan. I couldn't believe it. He answered my question without me even asking it. And indeed, Paul Reubens was a Prince fan. So I didn't think anything could top that, but it was about to get a lot better. He proceeded to talk about some of his other favorite moments. He then said that another major highlight was getting to make a short film with Michael Jackson. He said they filmed it at Universal and it was a short film called Lemonade that was never released. And he said he'll never forget that while they were on a break, someone came over to him and said, Michael Jackson would like you to come to his trailer and sit down with him, that they had not really gotten to talk yet. So he goes to Michael Jackson's trailer, he goes inside, and it's just him and Michael Jackson. They say hello to each other. He sits down right across from him, you know, just like a few feet away. And he said it was the most awkward thing ever, that they were just staring at each other and no one was saying anything. And so he said, I have no idea why I said this. It was just the first thing that came to mind. I looked at Michael Jackson and I said, so, do you like Prince? Now this next part, I'm going to tell it to you the same way that Paul Reubens told it to all of us. And he did do a Michael Jackson impression and it was awesome. So Paul Reubens said, I'm going to count this out on my hand for all of you. Michael Jackson looked at me and said, Prince was so mean to me. Prince was so mean to me. Prince was so mean to me. Why was Prince so mean to me? He came over to the house to pick up LaToya and Prince was so mean to me. Why was Prince so mean to me? And everybody just lost it and I was in heaven. It was the greatest story I had ever heard. Being such a huge Prince fan and a Pee-wee fan and a Michael Jackson fan, it was amazing. And all I can do is hope that someone in that audience was secretly recording this and that one day the footage will pop up on YouTube because everybody needs to hear that story the way that Paul Reubens told it.
Put this on if you want a pogo.
I'm sorry I took the money. I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
That's enough.
Me again!
Oh, Pee-wee Herman's
Hello, Foxy.
I scared you, didn't I?
Tell you how sorry I am about the mistake, and if there's anything at all I can do.
Everybody's heard about the bird!
Bang, bang, bang!
Well, the bird is a word.
I see they're loading our navigator R2-D2, and then we'll be on our way. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
I'll say, I'm going to start a paper route right now. Hey, this isn't a ray gun, it's a cops and robbers gun. Bang! 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 That's Lionel Richie. Pee-wee Herman.
Hey, Blimbo! Oink oink! Too many Twinkies!
I am the luckiest boy in the world.
I'm not sorry I took the money.
Okay, so I just arrived here in Cabazon, California. Way back in the 60s, a man named Claude Bell came out here and built a couple of dinosaurs to help bring attention to his nearby restaurant, the Wheel Inn, which used to be located right over there. You can still see the sign. Unfortunately, that restaurant was torn down. But so he built a couple of large dinosaurs that people would be able to see from the highway with hopes that it would attract them to his restaurant. And like I said, at least one of the dinosaurs, construction started in the 60s, and then construction completed on both dinosaurs in the early 80s. Now, Claude Bell passed away in the 80s, and the property was sold in the 90s, and the new property owners used the dinosaurs to make a museum and a gift shop, and things have changed here quite a bit over the years. Throughout the years, the dinosaurs have had a few different paint jobs, and in more recent years, they've been doing different stuff with the T-Rex, painting different outfits on them. I believe the last time I was out here, the T-Rex had a tuxedo. I think that's what he had going on the last time I was here. During Christmas time, they painted a Santa Claus outfit on him. So they've done different stuff. And just a few weeks ago, the T-Rex got yet another new outfit. And there it is, Mr. Rex's new outfit. Just a few weeks ago, they came out here and they painted a Pee-wee suit on Mr. Rex, obviously to pay tribute to Paul Reubens and Pee-wee Herman. Now, I would say these dinosaurs were made most famous in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. They have been featured in lots of other movies and TV shows and music videos, like The Wizard with Fred Savage, Tears for Fears music video, lots of stuff. But I think people most know them from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, or just from, you know, driving down the highway. You can see they also put a heart with Pee-wee on it. And fans have been out here leaving stuff for Paul Reubens. It's pretty awesome. I didn't think there would be stuff out here. You know, we were just at the Star. There was nothing left on the Star. And I know people had been leaving stuff at the house from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, putting flowers in the fence and whatnot. And I was just over there recently, and all of that has been removed as well. But here at the Dinosaurs, still lots of stuff. Oh man. Just reading that first line, I'm getting a little choked up. People have left portraits. One there. One there. And a Pee-wee candle that somebody made. People have left their drawings. I'm a loner, Dottie. A rebel. Oh man, I just noticed this. Somebody put red bow ties. Now, Mr. Rex is only going to be wearing the Pee-wee outfit for a limited time. According to their website, he will be wearing this outfit through October. If you want to see Mr. Rex in the Pee-wee outfit, make sure you get out here as soon as possible. And they made sure to even put the handkerchief, gave him his white shoes. They got every little detail. And of course, it was right up there in the mouth of Mr. Rex where Pee-wee and Simone sat and watched the sunrise. They weren't really sitting in the mouth up there. If you've ever been up there, then you would know it's really small. Barely one person can fit in there. So where they were sitting was actually a set, but they were supposed to be sitting right up there. And then Pee-wee and Simone come walking out of that door and down those steps, and that's when he sees Andy, and he goes chasing Pee-wee all around this area. But we'll save that for another video. That'll be coming very soon. And I've only really been standing out here for a few minutes, and quite a few people in the short time that I've been standing here have pulled into the parking lot, stopped, got out, and just taken pictures of the T-Rex and then got back in their car and left. So it's obvious that, you know, they're coming really just to see this. That's really cool. That warms my heart. Now you can go inside of both dinosaurs. I believe it now costs money to go inside of the T-Rex because it's part of the museum and the dinosaur experience that they have here. But you can go into this dinosaur. This is where they have the gift shop. And we're going to go in there and see if we can find anyone that wants to talk to us about Pee Wee Herman. And they got some cool 80s themed posters here in the gift shop. And they've got one Pee Wee themed poster. Pretty awesome. Good price too. All right, so we're here talking with Josh. And are you the person responsible for putting the Pee Wee suit on the T-Rex? Okay.
So let's see, a couple Tuesdays ago, we got the call to go ahead and paint the dinosaurs, and me with my manager and another one of our maintenance guys. I'm a maintenance guy myself. It was just the three of us. We spent all day on a Tuesday and maybe a second half of the day on Thursday, the week that Paul Reubens passed away. Spent all that time painting the dinosaur outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think you just answered my next question. I wanted to ask how long it takes to do such a thing. Because I know you guys actually change that dinosaur quite often.
Correct.
Tuxedos,
Correct.
Santa Claus suits.
Correct.
So how long does that take?
Yeah, so like I mentioned with the Pee Wee job, so the Pee Wee job is a little bit simpler just because we have a lot of the same color on. The design wasn't too complicated, so that took, like I said, it took like a whole 6 to 8 hour day on that Tuesday, and we spent maybe about 3-4 hours doing the rest of it on the back. So, like you said, we do change it for every so often. We do it for Christmas, we do it for Halloween, we do it for Valentine's Day, and depending on how complicated the job is, that will take either a day, 2 days. Sometimes it'll take 3 days, but that's only if we do the other guy over there in the corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's why it'll be changing in October, because you guys will be switching it up.
Well, actually, so we're keeping them all throughout. That's going to be his Halloween costume.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so through October. It'll be Pee Wee.
November, and once it hits November, then we're going to be doing his Christmas Santa suit, his yearly Santa suit. That's actually the first sort of thematic paint job that we did for him in general. In October of 2020, we actually painted him as a Santa suit for the first time.
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. Now, I think the answer to this next question is probably, it's a self-explanatory, but I want to hear it from you. What made you guys decide to put the Pee Wee suit on the T-Rex?
Well, a lot of, a big chunk of the demographic of people that come and visit our location in general, whether it's the gift store, whether it's our dinosaur museum, a lot of those people are Pee Wee fans, right? So we just get a lot of travelers, a lot of tourists, but like I said, a lot of those people are Pee Wee fans, so we felt that it was probably a very appropriate thing to do since we already paint the dinosaurs in general for Halloween, for whatever other season. So we just thought we could, cover multiple bases in that regard, honoring Paul Reubens, giving the audience something that they would come and enjoy, and also just, paint his Halloween costume early on, all at once. So, so that's kind of why we ended up going that route. And honestly, the feedback that we got was pretty surprising to me personally, because like I said, I knew that the demographic of those who came to the museum was a lot of the chunk of it was Paul Reubens fans, Pee Wee fans, fans of classic cinema, right? But before we actually got started painting the dinosaur on that Tuesday that I mentioned, there was already a lot of tribute memorabilia down at his feet already there. Or not so much memorabilia, but a lot of flowers. And as time went on, we've seen candles, we've seen flowers, we've seen stuffed animals, we've seen a lot of stuff that was related to Paul Reubens or the movie itself. So the feedback has been very positive, and we're glad to see that even now, even like a few weeks after his passing and a few weeks after we've actually done the job, a lot of people are still excited about it. So it's cool to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you would definitely say that you guys owe a little bit of your business to Pee Wee and Paul Reubens.
Definitely so. Like the fact that it was shot out here in general was definitely a sight to see, I'm sure, at that time.
Right.
And the fact that, like I said, the legacy of that movie and of Paul Reubens still lives on in visitors that we get to our museum and to our gift store is definitely something. It's definitely something.
Awesome. I can't believe that I didn't notice your amazing T-shirt the second I saw you. Wow. Are those available here to purchase?
These are available, yes. We have them both in our museum gift shop and at our Apatosaurus gift store.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Josh, thank you so much for coming out and talking to me. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this video. And I just wanna say one more time before I wrap things up, thank you to Paul Reubens for the art that you gave us, for the character that you created, for all of the smiles that you gave us, for all of the times that you made us laugh, all the times that you made me smile and made me laugh and took my mind off of the horrible things that might have been going on in my life. Life can be really tough sometimes, and without people like you to make us smile and make us laugh, it would be a lot tougher. So all I can say is thank you. I wish that there was more that I could say to really express the gratitude that I'm feeling towards you, but all I can really say is thank you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you, oh dear friend.